I should be talking particularly about the need to preserve the rainforest, to stop cutting them down, the need for reforestation. But also there's a lot of media arranged, I understand, and in those interviews, as in this one, I'll be talking about all the problems with.
En su visita a Argentina, entrevistamos a Jane Goodall. Ella es una ambientalista incansable, reconocida mundialmente. Paula, ¿qué significa para el Instituto Jane Goodall que Jane está acá en Argentina?
Bueno, Luis, para nosotros es una emoción inmensa. Esta es la 5ª visita de Jane a la Argentina y la verdad que con el pasar de los años el instituto ha crecido localmente y que Jane vuelva y se renueve la energía y podamos seguir difundiendo todo el trabajo que estamos haciendo no solo en África y en los demás países, sino también que la gente sepa que existe un instituto Jane Goodall en Argentina. Para nosotros es fundamental para poder continuar trabajando.
¿Cuánto hace que Jane está de gira, ¿no? Y la cierra acá en Argentina?
Bueno, en realidad creo que estuve todo el año de gira porque tuvo 2 giras en Estados Unidos. Este es el cierre de la gira latinoamericana que comenzó en Cuba, estuvo en Panamá, en Colombia, en Chile y bueno, después llegó a Buenos Aires y ahora está viajando a Inglaterra para unos días descansar y después viajar a la cumbre de cambio climático en París.
She does seem frail, but at the same time she's tough as nails.
I simply call her she's a walking angel.
Bueno, es un placer estar con Jane, una ambientalista incansable, conservacionista reconocida. Muchas gracias por estas palabras.
Thank you.
Bueno, ¿por qué decidió cerrar esta gira en Argentina?
We have one of the 30 Jane Goodall Institutes based here in Argentina, and every other year the team here is making a program in Latin America.
¿Cuál es el trabajo que realiza el instituto en nuestro país?
El instituto comenzó muy fuertemente en 2010 con el programa educativo Roots and Shoots, que significa raíces y brotes, y la verdad que ha crecido muchísimo. Tenemos programas específicos desarrollados para Argentina, como es un programa que llamamos Conectados, pero también trabajamos por promover el bienestar de los chimpancés en cautiverio en el marco de un programa internacional Chimpanzú, y estamos intentando generar nuevas estrategias para conservar especies amenazadas de nuestro país.
¿En qué consiste ese trabajo?
El trabajo es, en primera instancia, identificarlos para poder ver en qué situación están y empezar a planificar juntos, sobre todo con los establecimientos que quieren mejorar el estado de estos animales en cautiverio y poder desarrollar estrategias que nos permitan mejorar su bienestar animal.
Previo a la cumbre de París, en el mes de diciembre.
Yes, and I shall be going for, I think, about 5 days to Paris to talk about the importance of saving particularly the rainforests because of the way they absorb CO2 from the atmosphere and because we're destroying so much forest and releasing so much of this greenhouse gas.
¿Qué expectativas tiene usted con la cumbre de París?
I'm hoping that because all around the world people have actually begun to accept that climate change is real, I'm hoping that for that reason there'll be more of a push to make a binding agreement, but I can only hope.
¿El planeta se puede dar el lujo de que esta nueva cumbre pueda fracasar como pasaron con todas las últimas que se hicieron?
If this doesn't succeed, then the only thing left will be the people of the planet. And the only hope there is social media, because I've seen how social media can bring people together around a cause. Hopefully there's enough people gathered together to force the politicians to make a binding agreement. But it's not really possible to think about conservation unless you bring the people into the picture. It's where they live after all.
¿Cuál es la visión que tiene del planeta y del medio ambiente, de la situación actual?
I think the planet is in a terrible mess right now, and it's partly because of the way that we're exploiting finite resources as though they're infinite. And We're destroying the forests, releasing the CO2, we're polluting the ocean, preventing it absorbing CO2. There is the industrial agriculture, both food plants and animal farming, which is causing tremendous pollution, and it is the rain washes all this pollution, the chemicals, down into the streams, the rivers, and thus into the sea, polluting the ocean. And industrial agriculture, particularly when it becomes genetically modified, is really having a tremendously adverse effect on biodiversity, and we can't really predict what's going to happen as more and more species disappear from an ecosystem. Finally, there are these three huge problems, and they sort of underlie climate change too. And first of all, there's extreme poverty. People cut down the forest in order to grow some food to feed themselves because they have to, or they're living in an urban area and they're buying the cheapest things because they have to, and they may have been made in a very environmentally or socially unacceptable way. Then there's the unsustainable lifestyle of the rest of us. We all have far more than we need. And finally, the sheer numbers of people on the planet. I knew there was deforestation going on around the park, but I was not prepared for the absolute devastation. I couldn't just stay in Gombe watching chimpanzees leading an idyllic life. I had to try and do whatever I could.
¿Cuál va a ser su aporte en la cumbre del clima en París?
I should be talking particularly about the need to preserve the rainforests, to stop cutting them down, the need for reforestation. But also there's a lot of media arranged, I understand, and in those interviews, as in this one, I'll be talking about all the problems we're facing on the planet today.
¿Cómo ve a los gobiernos del mundo en cuanto a la conciencia y la acción que tienen que tomar frente al cambio climático?
Well, unfortunately, governments very often have a sort of unholy alliance with big corporations, and there's an awful lot of corruption. And I think it's going to depend on the power of the people. Are there enough of the general public getting together, making their voice heard, concerned about their future?
¿Qué opina de los zoológicos y el cautiverio de los animales?
It depends very much on the zoo, and if you have a zoo which has large enough enclosures, the right social group for the animals, caring, understanding keepers with a commitment to education and conservation, then a zoo can be a very good institution for raising awareness.
Claro, del nuevo rol de los zoológicos, ¿no? Porque es como bastante arcaico el sistema y el concepto convencional.
Yeah, there are certainly zoos around the world that shouldn't be there because the conditions are totally unacceptable and people are getting completely the wrong message about animals.
Capture what it was like to sit here when I was a young girl. Everything I saw was new and exciting.
I would grow up, I would go to Africa, I would live with animals, I would write books about them.
¿Qué la llevó a trabajar por los primates?
I was offered the opportunity to study chimpanzees, the animal most like us, when I got to Africa. I went to Africa to go and live with animals in the forest and write books about them. That was my goal. It was a really exciting moment for me. The Jane Goodall Institute's Chimpunga Chimpanzee Rehabilitation Center in the Republic of Congo has for years been caring for infants whose mothers were killed, mostly for the illegal bushmeat trade. Many of them are now fully grown. Recently, we acquired 3 large forested islands on the beautiful Kwilu River, where we can release many of the chimpanzees from our overcrowded center. In here is Wunda, and she nearly died. But thanks to Rebecca, she came back from the dead. And here she is about to come out into this paradise. She's the 15th chimpanzee to get her freedom here. And we hope ultimately to have about 60 on the island. Today is the first time I've met Wunda. I talked to her on the boat, trying to reassure her. She must have wondered what was happening. None of us could predict exactly what she would do once the cage door opened. It was a very, very touching moment. One of the most amazing things that's ever happened to me. The warmth of her embrace is something I shall never forget. For Wunda and all the other chimpanzees we're working to bring here, Chinzula Island will provide a wonderful forest home where they will be cared for and safe.